Thanks for tuning in once again to more horse racing coverage on Proline TV for another Thursday. I'm your host, Greg DePalma. And of course, I am joined by Jon Hardoon from the Ragozin Sheets. How's it going, John?
Good, Greg. How are you?
Doing okay. So we have one more so-called Kentucky Derby prep race because it's really not this year. Anybody who wins this race cannot qualify for the Derby. So it's just the Lexington Stakes. We also have the Jenny Wiley Stakes. That's a grade 1 race. It's both of these races, of course, will be at Keeneland. There are a couple of other interesting races at Oaklawn. I'll talk a little bit about that later on when we say goodbye to John. But we have also some notes on the Derby to talk about, John. Since last week, those 3 big races took place. And really, out of those 3 races, Further Ado, I didn't even know what his line was until you just told me before we came on. But Further Ado just clearly looked like the best horse of the day.
Well, this Further Ado absolutely loves Keeneland. As a 2-year-old, he won a race there. And when he ran the 7, he won by 22 lengths. Then last week, when he won the Bluegrass, he won by 13 lengths. I think he ran a 5. So he has a 7 and a 5. The only problem is that the Derby isn't run at Keeneland, it's run at Churchill. I'm sure if Brad Cox had any say in the matter, he'd have the race moved to Keeneland. But
yeah,
it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a good line. No, getting a 5 is a really good timing. He's getting headed to the Derby in really good form, and I don't expect him to be one of the top favorites. Do you? I think he'll probably get a decent number.
He'll be probably the 3rd choice. They're going to. I'll tell you exactly. Renegade will be the favorite.
He's about 5-1 now, I think.
Okay, Commandment will be the 2nd choice.
I think he's about 7,
and then will be Further Ado.
Okay, he's probably around 10-ish. So okay.
But remember, there's still a month to go, and a lot could happen.
Yep. The futures are out there. We'll talk more about them in the coming weeks because, again, we're not even sure who's going to get in when it's all said and done. Let me pop up on the screen. You can take a look at what the board looks like. Of course, these are the horses at the top, but we get further down the road here. And then this is when you start wondering whether or not they will, the owner, trainer will decide this is the right thing to do. We're going to race him in the Derby, or like you said, potential injuries. So you have some decent horses here at the bottom.
But that's not right. By the way, that there's this list you have is wrong because there are 3 horses, 3 races that they have out of the country. I think in Dubai and maybe 1 in Japan. So there are 3 races where those horses got 100 points and they're not on the list.
So this is okay. So here,
for example, Chief Wallaby is now number 22 and number 23. So he's going to need some help, but he'll get some help because there'll be for sure a couple of defections.
So these 2 horses here, Wonder Dean and 6 Speed, they're both qualified for the Derby. And I don't think this one did, but 40, right? So no, that's 2 horses. Okay, so we have 2 now, it looks like. And that, so like you said.
So now you can knock Chief Wallaby down and you can knock Chip Poncho down.
Yep.
They become 22 and 23, I believe.
Even though, of course, more than likely the odds are going to say that at least 1 or 2 horses in the top 20 are going to pull out.
Well, I would say, listen, the winner of the Jeff Ruby was a Brad Cox horse, right? So Brad Cox has 2 horses in already. Does he want a 3rd for a horse that didn't win on the dirt? I'm not so sure. And again, there'll be some scratches and some defections. Listen, the favorite, who was one of the horses Ted Naffy was a favorite early. He got hurt. The Brett Brown horse got hurt when he became the favorite. So,
what was that horse with the P? Paladin or?
Yeah, Paladin. He won the race at Fairgrounds. Excuse me. He won the race at Fairgrounds, and that's what. Yeah, he's eliminated.
Yeah. So, but one thing is evident, and that is that, and we knew it last year. We knew it. We said it repeatedly that we got spoiled last year. That was a really good crop of Derby horses last year. And I'm not so sure we have the same group this year.
Well, the East Coast horses are certainly better than the West Coast horses, in my opinion. So it's still early, but again, let's see what happens. Baffert invested $26 million in 2-year-olds right? He has
Yeah.
he has one horse going to the Derby. So
Yeah, well, it's getting old, huh? What's going on there?
what does it have to do with getting old?
I
It
don't know.
just has
Just
to
trying to
do,
find an excuse.
you need
Which horse is it?
you need a lot of luck. Patante is him, isn't
Oh,
it?
Patante's his?
Yeah.
No. Yes. Okay. Right over there. Got it. So that's one horse. Okay. So, all right. So anyway, look, I think that's a good thing because that means there's more of an opportunity to make a little bit of money because there really hasn't been a lot of money to be made in the Derby recently. Of course, we had that one long shot a few years ago. Strike.
Well, last year we were all over the exact and the winner, so I don't know why you're saying there's no opportunity to make money. There's plenty of.
Well, I'm talking about odds wise.
1 shots. Okay, well,
Yeah.
50-1 shots don't win all that often.
No, they don't. So we'll see. We'll see how it all goes. We got a long way to go. All right. So again, yeah, looking back at last week, once again, Further Ado dominated the Bluegrass. And this is another thing that I just can't believe that they haven't figured out yet. It's 2026 with technology we have today. And I'm watching the blowout win by Ado. And I had the long shot, remember?
Further Ado. Yeah, whatever.
Further Ado.
Yeah.
And I had that long shot, the one with Brown and Pratt, Otino, the one that we were like, oh, he's 20-1.
Atenejo. Yeah.
Atenejo. All right. So it's a blowout, and the camera just zooms in on the blowout winner. And I'm like, what's going on behind him? I've got the exacta. I know. I saw
it has
him.
nothing to do with being 2026. It has to do with being an idiot for a cameraman is what it is. Well, they have instructions, follow the winner all the way around.
You've got to have a split screen of some sort under that circumstance.
I agree.
I mean, it's so ridiculous.
Especially in this day and age of drones. They have drones following them around, and they're giving you angles in the middle of the race from like 5 miles up in the sky, like anyone could tell who the hell the horse is. I mean,
like we don't care about who's second or third, right? It's only horse racing.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's only thousands of dollars on the line.
As a try or an exact or no, exactly.
Terrible. Albus then won a very weak Wood. We kind of figured the Wood would be weak. And
by the way, the horse that we liked in the race may have been best. Believe me when I tell you. I know he finished 4th.
Bravaro?
But go watch the replay, and if you know what you're watching, you can see the trouble he had. Actually, at the top of the stretch, he tried to go inside of Paco Lopez, who was riding Napoleon solo. If he thought Paco Lopez was going to let him up the inside, he's obviously never watched Paco Lopez ride. But all that is another story for another day. But the Wood was horrible. Believe me, I mean, anyone that was in that race should not be going to the Derby. But if you got the points and you get once in a lifetime opportunity, you might as well take advantage of it. Remember, there are 18 to 20,000 horses born a year, and only 20 of them, 20 out of 20,000 make it to the Derby. So think about how hard that really is.
Yeah, there's Albus right there. So he's about 11th or 12th. And it's funny because we were going over the sheet line on Albus and he had a 20, 17, and 13. So we're like, well, obviously, if he's going to win this race, he's going to have his best race and he's going to have like a big move. And he didn't have to. All he had to do is have an improved move from 13 to 12 to win the race.
Yeah, well, like you always say, he was trending in the right direction, but I did not like him. I never even mentioned him.
Even if he had a 12, if we knew it in advance, we still wouldn't have taken him.
Exactly. That's how bad the race came up.
Yeah. But anyway, that's what happens in the Wood. That's just not been a good race lately. And then the Santa Anita Derby, that was a big disappointment. So happy. He's a fine horse. He hasn't done anything wrong in his 4th start. That was he tied his best. That was a 9. He previously had a 9 at Santa Anita, a couple of starts back. But only having Patente challenge was really disappointing. Some of these other horses did nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, Robusta did nothing. Cherokee Nation did nothing.
Well, Cherokee Nation we didn't like. I told you he was bouncing off of that floor and coming off of weight.
Yeah.
That was the whole edge in that race. But, the Mullins horse on the bottom never showed up.
Nope. And Torpedo, whatever. Yep.
Who I loved. He was horrible. But that's the way.
That's the kind of year we're having. Okay, so this week we have the Keeneland races, the Lexington. Let me pop up our first race. It's the Jenny Wiley. And with the Jenny Wiley, this is a grade 1 race. This is going to be a mile and a 16th, and this should go off about 5:16 on Saturday. It's for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. It's a turf race, and the morning line favorite is the 7 Lush Lips. We've done several races with Lush Lips, and she continues to win almost every time out. It's a nice field of 10, and Lush Lips is the 5-2 morning line favorite. She has been either first or second in her last 9 starts.
Well, 10 out of 12 lifetime starts, she's been first or second. So she's a nice horse. There's only one problem. Off of the numbers, this is a hard race. I mean, obviously she could win, but you got to be crazy to bet her as a favorite, and she's going to be the big favorite.
Yeah, there's a lot of
one at Keeneland, so she does have that going for her. But I don't like that horse. I mean, not as I'm king somebody, but
as a heavy favorite. Yeah, a lot of similar numbers here.
Everyone basically runs between an 8 and a 10 for the most part in the race, to be honest with you.
And we'll start with the 1 Expensive Queen, an 8-1 shot coming off her best number. That was a 9. She's won 3 out of 4. All 3 of those wins have been on Lasix. Her last win was at this distance, and she's been 2 for 2 at this distance as well. What about Expensive Queen?
Well, she's 1 for 1 at Keeneland, like you said. She has Louis Sayers. The horse is going for her 3rd one, but she shows up. But listen, she's like other horses in the race. The good news about her, if you like her, is she is 8-1.
The 2 is Fast Market, and this is interesting. There are 4 horses out of 10 in the race that have not raced since November, and Fast Market is one of those. Now, the reason I like Fast Market out of those other horses is I'm getting 30-1 on a horse that actually had her best race the last time she was out there, and she did it at this distance in a grade 3 win, and she ran an 11. And really, her line, I'm only looking at the turf lines. She from a 19 in last February all the way to an 11 in November. She just kept getting better each time out. But I just like the number at 30-1. I got to play her.
No, I don't knock 30-1 shots. I don't particularly like her because I think there are other horses that are a little faster that are at similar prices. But again, if you like her, go for it.
The 3, Medoro, is another one of these horses that is same. You take a look at the numbers. She's got a couple of 10s this year. She has 3 10s, a 9 and an 11 in her last 5 out of her last 6 races. She is coming off back-to-back Lasix starts where she did run those 10s this year, but she is 12-1, and she's been 13 out of 14 in the money.
Yeah, but she's too slow. She's got 1-9, and she's never come back to it, and it was last year. So for that reason, you're going to need a single digit to win this race.
Next up is the 4 Pinup Betty, another horse that's been out since November at 20-1. And just once again, she's got 10s and a 9 in October. She's never won at Keeneland, though, in 3 starts.
Right. Just like I said before we started handicapping the race, the whole field is within a couple of points of each other. So this is another one, but I don't particularly like her here. She's 0 for 3 at Keeneland.
The 5 is Dynamic Pricing. This is one of 2 Chad Brown trained horses in the field. Irad Ortiz Jr. on the mount. Did not win in her start last time out at Keeneland. Matter of fact, it just didn't do anything in that race, running a 12. She ran an 8 and a 9. That was this time last year, but since then, she's run an 11, a 13, and a 12, keeping in mind the 12 was in October, so she's had a little bit of time off as well.
Yeah, and she runs well fresh, but she ran the 8 and 9 her first 2 starts last year, and she had 3 opportunities after those 2 races to come back and run them, and she didn't. So to me, that's somewhat negative.
The 6 is Deep Satin, another one of these horses who hasn't run since November. She ran an 8 on this track in October, then bounced after that to a 13 because that's really been the number that she's predominantly been on, 13s. She's got 4 of those in her last 6 starts.
Yeah, and the race at Keeneland, she got a lot of credit for being extremely wide. So she lost a lot of ground, which they use as part of the formula for making numbers. But if you cover the 8, what does she really have? The only thing she has going for her is that Sherry DeVoe's the trainer, and you're getting 20-1 on a horse that did happen to run an 8 over this track.
Here's Lush Lips. She's 5-2. She's the favorite, as we mentioned, the second Brendan Walsh trained horse in the field, and she's coming off 4 straight 10s. What's interesting with her is that not only she has all those first and seconds, but since the 2025 year, which was a 14 in January of that year, all of her numbers she's done a really slow time of going from 14 to 10, but she's been stuck on 10 and hasn't been able to get a single digit yet.
Yeah, she's one of these horses that you may make a case for that they run whatever they have to run to win, because off the figure, she's really not getting better. You know, what did she improve? A point since last year? There should have been more development than that. But on the same hand, listen, she wins every time. So, yeah. But I'm looking at numbers. I play the figures off the sheets, and at 5-2, I'm going to use her, but I'm not keying her.
The 8 is Destino d'Oro, a Brad Cox trained horse, has a grade 2 and a grade 3 win under her belt. 6 wins out of 9 is pretty impressive, including 3 out of 4 at this distance. But 4-1, you know, it's a low number, but she does have back-to-back 9s from December and January, and then an 11, her last time out last month at Tampa. She's on a 3-race win streak.
And she has 2 starts at Keeneland and has never won. So I don't see any edge in using her at 4-1.
No, that's the problem, the odds. The 9 is Aussie Girl at 8-1 shot. That looks a little too slow for this field. I'm surprised she's 8-1.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, you know, she's 1-for-1 at Keeneland. I guess that's why, but I don't like this horse. She's got no shot off the figures.
Yeah, she ran a 13 in that race, and that's about as good as she's run. She has 110. That's it.
Correct.
And the 10 came in a race when she finished 9th, just so you know. And then here's John's top pick of the race, Suggesta. This is another Chad Brown trained horse with Flavian Pratt, so you got a real good combo there. Once again, you've got a first race since November deal, but nobody in this race is coming in with an 8, 9, and 8. That's pretty impressive in her last 3 starts.
I agree. That's why she's my top pick. I mean, I don't like the post, but she does have Flavian Pratt, so that should help. But this is my top pick if I really get anywhere near the price, and I guess I will. And it's not like she needs Lasix or anything, because she hasn't been on Lasix for a long time. Same thing with Lush Lips. I'm going to bet the 10 Suggesta, or however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
That's the 10 horse. Exact is with the 1 Expensive Dream, the 6 Deep Satin, and the 7 Lush Lips. 10 with the 167 is my selection.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough if the 2 top horses, Lush Lips and Suggesta, get in there. But that's definitely looking like the possibility. I'll go with Lush Lips. I don't want us to be shut out there, so I'll go Lush Lips over 2, 3, and 10. So John's got the 10. I have the 7. Those are definitely the top 2 horses in the field, and we'll see what happens here. It's going to be tough to see if either one of those horses doesn't finish in first or second. So, you know, an exacta, what would a good exacta be with those 2 horses? Well,
you're going to get $15. A 7-10 will be probably
$4,
$9 or $10. No, it's a full field. It's
okay. Well, that's not bad.
No.
Okay, I take that. All
okay.
Right.
I'm glad.
Okay, let's go on to the next one, and that is the 10th, and we've got the Lexington Stakes, and in this one, we have a full field, so we have 11 horses, and this is going to take off at about 5:48 on Saturday, a mile and a 16th, so we got the same distance. This will be on dirt, a fast dirt track. None of these horses have ever won a graded stakes race, so there you go. The morning line favorite is the 9. That's Izum, a 2-1 shot, who ran a 31 in her first start. We've been doing this a long time, John. I don't think I have ever seen a horse start 31, come back with a 10.
Well, Brad Cox could do it. The 31 obviously meant nothing. The horse broke from the 2 posts that day at Gulfstream, and he had all kinds of trouble. He just backed through the field, but his second start when he stretched out to a mile at Colonial Downs. So it wasn't at a major racetrack, but it was a big day there. Pratt rode the horse, and they won. The horse won off the screen. So I would totally disregard the first race. Obviously, it meant nothing.
Yeah, still going to be interesting as far as, because I don't think I've ever seen a situation where you'd get like a 21-point new top and the horse doesn't bounce after the 10. But in this race, you could actually run an 11 and 12 and still win.
Yeah, but it's not a top. When a horse has 2 races, how do you know what a top is? No one knows what the top is. The horse ran close. So, you need some sort of history before you're going to call it a top.
That's some change. She went from being 24 lengths out in her first start to winning by 19.
Right, and she went off 15-1 the first time she ran. So obviously, the money wasn't down. It wasn't the day that this horse was going to go.
And then was the favorite, and then the race she won.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go through the field, and the one is Corona d'Oro, a 6-1 shot. I like Corona d'Oro because in this field, she's got one of the better lines. She's 21-16 last year, 10-9 this year. I know the 10-9 was on Lasix, but again, this is not a great field, and because of that, I think I'm willing to give her a break, especially at 6-1.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be my top selection in the race, and I agree with you. It could be a Lasix jump up, but I'm thinking that more along the lines that it was just natural developing and getting better as time went on. So I like this horse the best in the race. And by the way, breaking from the rail at a mile and a 16th at Keeneland is an edge. You're going around 2 turns, and it's an advantage being on the inside.
Okay. The 2 exhibition only is a 10-1 shot on the, a couple of things you could see here. Well, first, negative finally breaks her maiden in February, and that was on Lasix. But in the positive side, I'm just looking at dirt. She went 25, then 12. The 12 came after a 17 on turf, and she predictably bounced to a 15, or he predictably bounced to a 15. So I can see this horse maybe running another 12 or 11, but it's probably not going to be good enough in this race. I mean, he's 10-1. So, what do you think?
Yeah, he's fine. He's absolutely fine. It's Rudy Rodriguez shipping in with the jockey he's bringing. So interesting spot.
The 3 is Decisive Win, who ran a 17 in the start number 1 on Lasix.
And didn't even win that day. He did get bet down to 3-1. It's Doug O'Neill, always have to respect, but this horse would have to take a big step forward.
A little bit of cash on this horse, so they're expecting a nice move in race number 2, but we'll see. The 4 is Enforced Agenda, Castellano on board. First time on board, broke the maiden with Castellano, running a 13, come back with a 15. Not the worst idea in the world, just because of the fact that 13-15 for your first 2 starts is not all that bad.
I agree with you. At 10-1, I could see using this horse.
All right. Next up is the 5, Mr. T. And he ran at Indianapolis, and that's a minor league track. And the numbers actually got better, 23, 21, 17. But sort of like what we said last week, he's going to have to keep going in that direction, but he's going to need a huge jump.
He's have to improve 7 points. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't think like last week, a 16 will do it. No. Next up is the 6, Ramblin', a 20-1 shot. All turf races except when he ran a 31 in Indianapolis last July.
Yeah, he doesn't belong in this race. I don't know why he's here, but they're running him.
Yeah, best numbers were 17 turf. The
Correct.
7 is The Hell We Did, an 8-1 shot with Saez on board. Ran a 19 and a 13 last year. Then this year, last month, big jump to an 8. He's got the 2 wins.
When getting Lasix, the problem with this trainer does a terrific job, by the way. Ships horses out to Del Mar for the summer. He does a good job. The problem with this, all those races were at like a minor league track. He ran at Sunland. He ran at
Zia.
Zia, and he looks like he has to bounce off the 8.
Yeah, especially when it was on Lasix and just about 4 weeks ago. The 8 is Trendsetter, another horse that likes to race on minor league tracks for the most part. He had a couple of races, like one on Keeneland actually on turf, But anyway, the line, similar to what we talked about the other horse, if you just take a look at the dirt races, 21, 18, and 13, all on minor league tracks, but at least he's faster than that other horse we talked about. So it may not be a terrible idea for a long shot.
But the problem with this horse is, listen, the line is okay because it is forward moving, like you said, but he's had 7 races. So this is his 8th race now. Somewhere we should have seen some signs of life. By the way, back to the hell we did. If you remember that trainer, Todd Fincher, remember the horse Senor Buscador?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, he came from Zia Park and from Remington and Sunland. It's
the minor league?
Yeah, minor leagues, became a major leaguer in a hurry. So this trainer does have the ability to get these horses to run.
Okay, next up is going to be the 9. We talked about Izum as the favorite. This is one of 2 straight bred Cox-trained horses here. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, that 10, by the way, was at a minor track as well. What do you think about Izum at 2-1?
Yeah, but it also was on Virginia Derby Day in Colonial. The problem I have with this horse is 1 mile at Colonial Downs is around 1 turn. So Saturday, 1 mile and a 16th at Keeneland, this will be the first time this horse is going around 2 turns. So could be a different game. He's 2-1. Listen, I'm king the 1 who's going to be every bit of the 6-1, I hope. So I could throw in a zoom underneath in Exactus, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay. And Cox, by the way, has won 4 of the last 6 Lexington Stakes. And this next horse is also a bred Cox-trained horse, Confessional, with Alberto Ortiz Jr. And after breaking his maiden right away at Keeneland at 7 furlongs, he went back to a 12, which was this 12 in October of last year. But then a 17, and that was at this distance, which was his worst race. And then a 14, so he is headed back in the right direction. I can see this horse actually coming through. I just don't like 7-2.
No, the problem is the 7-2, and the problem is he'd have to run a 10, which he's never run in his life. He's a play against at the price, and he's going to take money because it's Cox and it's Ortiz.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yep. And then the 11 is I Did, a 10-1 shot. And if you look at this horse, who's also only had 1 hiccup. That was at Aqueduct in the grade 2 race when he ran a 22. If you throw that out, he went 22, couple 18s, and a 14, and then a 12. So the 12 came at the minor league track last month, and you're getting 12-1 from Mike Maker. What do you think about I Did?
I mean, you're calling it minor league track. It's not a minor league track. It's who you run against at those. You know, that was a good race. Not last time. That was just an allowance race, or actually an optional claiming race. But this horse I thought was a little interesting at the price because throw out the synthetic race 2 starts back. The 22 that he ran off the 14 was a bounce. You know, he ran a 12 last time. Yeah, could have been a Lasix pop. Who knows? I guess if you want to make a case for him, you can. Juan Hernandez, who there is no racing in Southern California this week, so he opted to go out to Keeneland, and he'll be riding this horse.
Okie dokie. We're both going to go with the 1. What's your exacta, John?
Okay, so I'm using the 1 in Exactas with the 4, Forced Agenda, who's 10-1. The 9, I'm going 1 with 4-9. You know what? I'll go 1 with 2-4-9. How's that? 1 over 2, 4, 9.
1 over 2, 4, and 9. Okay. I'm going to do then 1 over 8, 10, and 11.
8. Okay. 8, 10, and 11.
8, 10, and 11. You've got 1 over 2, 4, and 9. And that is going to wrap it up for Jon Hardoon. So, John, next week, I know that it's not going to get slow. We have, 3 more weeks before another month? How long? 3 weeks?
Yeah, I guess it's May 1st.
Yeah, so we have a few more weeks. Next week is Keeneland. There are 2 graded stakes races. There's also a graded stakes race at both Oaklawn and Santa Anita, so we should be able to get something going next week.
Okay, Greg, thank you, and thank you to all the people that watched, and we'll be back next week. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, John.
Stay safe and be well.
All right, that's Jon Hardoon, and let's wrap it up with some talk about Oaklawn. Not going to take too long. Let's just also wrap up these picks here. So John is going to get back to race number 9. the Jenny Wiley. John's going to go with the 10, Segesta, and he's going with the 10 over the 1, 6, and 7. Expensive Queen, Deep Sat. Wow, I didn't know John took Deep Sat. Cool. And Lush Lips. So John is going 10 over 1, 6, and 7. I'm going to go with the 7 over 2, 3, and 10. So I'm going to throw Fast Market in and Maduro as a couple of long shots in that one. And then in the race we just talked about, again, we're both going with the 1, Corona de Oro. John's going to go underneath 2, 4, 9, exhibition only, and Forced Agenda, a couple of 10-1 shots, and the 9, Izum, the morning line favorite. And I'm going to go ahead with the 8, Trendsetter, 10, Confessional, 11, I did as my horses underneath the 1. Okay. That's Keeneland. Now, I want to talk quickly. You know what? I should probably, let me get this up here on the screen. And let us know if you have a good channel out there that you use for Kentucky Derby futures, because I'd like to be able to pop them up for the viewers. Something where I can pop it up. I don't want to see like an article about it. I want to see a site that has 1 through 25. You know, those are the horses best chance of going to the Derby, and what the odds are, and in the order of the odds. Because sometimes I go some of these like even futures, and I'm getting like I know that they have what is it, the 6th future, whatever you call it. I forget what the term is. And I went there, and it's like they've got all the same horses that they've had on for the entire duration. And I got to figure out, there's which are the horses that are in the Derby. You know, that's no, I don't want to do that. So anyway, that would be great, and that would be helpful. All right, let me make sure I get this in here, because I want to take a look at these Oaklawn races. And I want to be able to show you the entries as I go over them. Okay, let me get it on the screen. Pop it in there. Where is it? Okay. Here we go. It's 8 and 10. Here we go. This is 8. All right. So, boy, horse racing makes things really confusing sometimes. In this Count Fleet Sprint Handicap, which is the 8th race, it's grade 3. And then they have the grade 1 Apple Blossom right here. Okay. So, you know, the novice horse race enthusiast, if there is such a term, would look at this and would go, oh, well, the grade 3 race versus the grade 1 race. Well, the grade 1 race has got to be better, right? Especially when the grade 1 race is for 1.25 million and the grade 3 race is for 500,000. But then you look at the race, and the best horses are in the grade 3 race. And now I do understand, of course, there is a big difference here, and that is the length of the race. And the 8th race is 6 furlongs, and the Apple Blossom is 1 mile and 16th. But that's the point, is it can be really confusing for non-fans, because that you just would think, well, the best horses shouldn't the best horses that day get the opportunity to race for the most money? No, it's not the case. Okay. So taking a look at this one, race number 8, the morning line favorite here is the 5, 2-1 shot Roll on Big Joe. And I have no problem with that. I mean, this horse looks really, really strong. I mean, this horse is coming in with 2 5s and a 3. That's just amazing. Amazingly good. And he's got back-to-back wins at this distance at Oaklawn coming in. There is no reason to not want to go with Roll on Big Joe, unless you guys know something I don't. And that's possible. As far as, you guys have some tipsters, you hanging out at the track, but this horse looks awfully good, and it looks like it's gonna be really tough to beat. So, but the other horses that look interesting, one of the horses that I think should bounce is the one Maximum Bourbon, because he's coming off a 4, and that was just a couple of weeks ago, and this horse has never run outside of Lasix. So he's going to come off Lasix for the first time and coming off a 4. So I don't think so. Not in this race, because there are other horses in this field that can run a low number or a high number, whichever way you want to look at it. Booth the 3 is another one of those horses. Last year he's got 2 4s and 2 6s. Now he started with a 10 this year. So that's definitely disappointing. But he did run an 11 in June and followed it up with a 4. So this horse is lightly raced, of course, 14 starts. But since February last year, for 5 of the 7 races have been numbers between 4 and 7. And he's had 2 minor hiccups, an 11 and a 10. But he's got 4 wins out of 7 at Oaklawn, and 6 wins at this distance, 50% wins for Booth at 7-2. But since we really want to play the 5, because we can't not play the 5, the question though is can we make any money here? The 6, Wendelson might be the way to do it. It's a 10-1 shot. You get Velasquez, and Hartman's having a really good meet. And this horse ran a 6 at Oaklawn in February, a 4 at Oaklawn last February 2025. And in his last 6 races since the 4, he has a 6, 2 8s, and a 9. So he's definitely racing at the best of his career, and you're getting 10-1. And then the other horse, which is a halfway decent price that I'd throw in there, is Tejano Twist. Now, this is the statesman of the group at 7 years old. But he's going through a nice run here. In his last 5 races, Tejano Twist has 2 5s, a 6, 7, and a 9. And all of them are at Oaklawn, and all of them are at 6 furlongs, and he's coming off a grade 3 win. I think that might be his best win in a while. This horse has been around. The only thing that would be concerning is 3rd race in 5 weeks, 6 weeks for a 7-year-old. But 16 out of 17 in money at Oaklawn. So I have to bet that horse there. So I'm going to do 5. Who wouldn't? 5. And I'm going to try to stay away from Booth just because, look, I'd go 5, 3, 6, 7. That's what I would do. But I don't want the 3 in there, of course. I'm hoping for the 6 to be in second, and Tejano Twist, if I can still get 6-1. That would be good too. That would be good too. Okay. That's the 8th. And then in the 10th, this is the grade 1 race, the Apple Blossom. And the morning line favorite in this one is the 1, I believe. And this is just like the 8th. This is the horse to beat. So I'm not coming out here with anything exploding with long shots or nothing, but this horse coming off of 5 in February, bounced to a 10. But what I like is you got 9, 9, 6, then 10. Okay, and you look at it, basically also had a 9 on turf. So it was 9 dirt, 9 turf, 9 dirt, 6 dirt, bounce 10, a little bit of time off, back to 5, bounce again to 10 on a sloppy track. And so I would, it looks like you should expect this horse to go right back to the 6 or the 5 even. So that's the way things are going. And because this horse is only 4 years old, 50% wins. And this one's got all sorts of graded stakes wins, including a grade 1 win. And that was the Alabama Stakes at Saratoga in August. Yeah, this horse is loaded with $2 million. Definitely the horse to beat. Okay, so the other horses that intrigue me would be the 6. That's Narazuri. Narazuri's got 3 wins out of 4 at Oaklawn. You're getting 6-1. He's got 3 wins in his last 4. Finished second in the other race. Last 3 were not on Lasix. And his best 2 were off of Lasix at Oaklawn at this distance. He ran a 9 and an 8 in his last 2 starts. So really in those 3 starts I talked about, it's 9, 8, 12. All at Oaklawn, 2 wins and a runner-up. No Lasix. So 6-1, I think that's fair. And then I would go with the 8, Claret Beret. An 8-1 shot. You got Safi Joseph off to a really good start. 6 wins out of 18 is pretty solid. But what's good about this horse is he ran a 6 last May. Followed that up with a 7. But then he had a really bad time of it in August at Saratoga. That was that grade 1 ballerina race. Came back and then went 12, 11, 11, 6. Get back to 6 again. That's important. Got it at this distance in a grade 3 win. And that's the best win of his career. And remember, ran a 6 before and came back with a 7. And he's had more than enough time, just like that 6-7 time frame. So I with the heavy favorite first, I think those 2 medium horses there, the 6 and the 8, they interest me. See, Majestic Oops, the 9-2 shot, his best number is a 7, and you got to go back to last June for that. His best numbers since June were a couple of 9s. So he really hasn't. I mean, the last race was run on slop. The grade 2 win at Oaklawn at this distance ran an 11. And again, it was on slop. I just don't like the odds. And then who else? I don't know how Regaled is 3-1. That's too low. I mean, I could see him being a little bit better than Majestic Oops, but that's the reason why. See, if I look at it a couple different ways, I'm like, well, Majestic Oops, he's about the same odds as Regaled, yet Regaled does have recently in his last 5 starts, he has a 7, 8, 9, and 2 11s. Majestic Oops in his last 5 starts only has 1 single digit. So why would I want Majestic Oops if I could take Regaled? That's the way I would look at it that way. But then I'm going to flip it. Well, why would I take Regaled? Let's say I'm not even talking about Majestic Oops. I'm going, well, why am I taking Regaled at 3-1? He hasn't won at Oaklawn yet. And his last 2 races are 11s. And, you know, statistically speaking, he's got 4 wins out of 20 lifetime. I don't really see any value here. You know, both of these horses are more than capable of winning this race. There's no doubt about it, but I'm getting no value. So that's the reason why I'd rather take the 6 and the 8, where I'm getting 8-1 and 6-1. And again, the 8's got 6s. And I'm getting double the money. What else? Any other horse sticks out here? Not really. I think that's it. None of these other horses do anything for me. I think if you look at it, the only thing like 5G, the 7, has 2 9s in his last 3 starts. So it was a grade 2 win. That was his best win, a grade 2 win at Gulfstream in March. That's really the only thing that sticks out. You are getting Velasquez on board. And Velasquez, just noticing it right here now, in his last 2 mounts with this horse, won. So he won in January running a 13 at Gulfstream, and he won again in his last start at Gulfstream running a 9. So maybe 5G, where's my thing? Maybe that's the 3rd horse, because 10-1 is not bad. Blue Fire doesn't have a single digit. Dazzling Move does not have, and neither does Almond Joy. So there you go. I'll go 1/6, 8, 10 in the Apple Blossom, and 5 over 367 in the Count Fleet Sprint handicap. Okay, so again, next week, we've got 4 graded stakes races at 3 different tracks. So we should be able to get lucky enough to have 2 good ones. Not sure what we're going to do the week after that. What is that? That's 18th, which is because there's only 2 graded stakes races that week. And that's going to really make things interesting because it is the week before the Derby. And there is the possibility we might take off because there's only 2. There's one at Keeneland, a grade 3, and one at Santa Anita, another grade 3. So that might be one of the situations where we may just wait and see. See if we get lucky. Maybe both of those races are good races and we'll be fine. Or we just decide at the last minute, let's just not do it. Or we decide the week before and we just let you know. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up. As far as the rest of the programming here for the week, we have a show tomorrow, the Playbook ATS podcast at 1 o'clock Eastern. We have Jim Feist, Andy Isco, and I'm going to be filling in for Mark Lawrence, who will be taken off the next couple of months for the most part. He is getting into the draft, not the draft, but the NFL preview guide for 2026. So he's got a lot of work ahead of him for the next couple of months for his magazine that comes out. It's like his 32nd edition, something like that. So he'll be really busy for the next few months. I will step in for him, and we are going to we're going to recap what took place at the championship game on Monday night in college basketball. And then we are going to, I think this is the week I'm going to ask these guys to give me their take on Major League Baseball. I think that's what we're doing this week. We're going to go over some futures, some of the best sleepers out there. Whoever is going to stand the chance to lose to the Dodgers later this year. So who has the best chance to do that? I'll talk to these guys about that, Adam and Jim. I think, and then also later this month, we'll do NBA playoffs. We'll do NFL draft coverage, which will in turn really mean NFL 2026 early futures. So that's coming up later this month. And Jon Hardoon will be making an appearance on the Jim Feist show. That takes place every Tuesday. So John will make an appearance Derby week, and you can check him out there. And of course, we'll have a big Derby show here on probably Tuesday. We'll figure it out in the next week or two and let you know. But it'll be real early in the week because we're going to get everything we need by Tuesday: odds, sheet numbers, everything we need to analyze the race. And we'll do it as early in the week as possible, probably looking at Tuesday. So that'll wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in once again. And if you haven't already done it, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all that stuff, including throw a comment in, a question. All that stuff really helps our algorithms and for us to make a little coin here. And again, to keep these shows free for your enjoyment. So for Jon Hardoon and Greg DePalma, thanks for tuning in.